Mr. Parker, how are you, sir?
I'm blessed. How are you?
Good, good.
Are you recording this?
I do.
Streaming it?
I am. We're gonna, yeah, and I'm recording. It just started the stream right now, so you know.
Oh, it is on
Yeah,
stream?
yeah. So I just started it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
So.
Good. I'm glad you're here and I appreciate you doing this. I know we record, but still.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be good.
Yeah. Yeah, we're happy to do it.
So how does one get a copy of your
It'll be on YouTube later on. After I'll post it to YouTube tomorrow, but it'll be on Facebook Live right now, actually. So, yeah, already got 8 people watching.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Now we know. Yeah. We want to get started on time. Jeff? Would everybody take a seat, please?
Sure.
All right, to get us started, Jeff Parker is going to give a few words of welcome and our invitation.
Good evening. And I do welcome you, all of you. And also to those watching online, I'm grateful that we're live streaming this so that we can reach a wide audience. My name is Jeff Parker. I would say that I participate in school board as a member of the public. And I've been going to school board meetings regularly for about 5 years. And I've gone to all of the meetings associated with, all the public meetings associated with the bond. And I speak often at the meetings. Larry usually gives me an extra minute when I'm running long. So anyway, and I think that's an important role, the public participation in the process. And I'll put in a plug for any of you who want to join in school board meetings. Just come, see what goes on. You can sit right across from the board and look them in the eye, and that can be useful. So anyway, just want to mention that. I'm here on behalf of the Taxpayers for Responsible Schools because after seeing the process unfold for this bond, I have come to the conclusion that it should be voted down for reasons that I hope will be clear to you from our presentation this evening. But I do want you to know we have some here that are in favor. I know some of you are opposed. Whatever your view, whether you agree or disagree with the bond, we're grateful that you took the time this evening to join us. So if you would, please, let's bow our heads and go to God in a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for blessing us with the liberty and self-governance that you have granted us. And we're thankful for those who are helping to steward this precious gift by taking their time to attend this meeting this evening or watching online. Lord, we welcome the presence of your Spirit here with us as we deliberate on how best to use the resources you have blessed us with. And we call upon your divine wisdom and guidance to help us speak truth in love. And Lord, whether we agree or disagree, help us to treat each other with respect, knowing that each of us is your creation, made in your image. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Amen. Now, I'll turn it back to our moderator, Deborah Frank.
Thank you, Jeff. Hi, I'm Deborah Frank. Most of you, or some of you, may know me as the former Fayette County Republican Party chair, but this is not a partisan event. This is going to affect all of us taxpayers sooner or later. So what I want to do right now is just kind of give you all the ground rules that we're going to follow tonight in this meeting. We anticipate the meeting to last approximately 2 hours. There's some bottled water over here by the kitchen that you're welcome to. Whoops, says light refreshments. Nah, sorry. Each presenter will introduce themselves before they begin speaking on their assigned topics. After our final remarks, we will take questions from the audience. If you prefer, you can write your questions down and we'll read them for you. If you're shy and you don't want to raise your hand, we have some index cards on the table by the entryway. You can write your questions down and put them in that blue bucket over there. And we'll answer as many questions as possible until 8 o'clock. Also, there are some signs, no new tax signs if you'd like, and we do appreciate any donations that you would like to make. You can make the checks out to Taxpayers for Responsible Schools. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and I'm going to call up Ken Darnell. He's going to give our first presentation.
Just a little history on me. I was a Houston firefighter for 38 years, retired at the end of 2012, moved here, joined the LaGrange Volunteer Fire Department for 5 years, and here I am. So your body gets a little worn out, so you can't go much longer. But I'm gonna run over some stuff here on the front. Go ahead and move it. I'm gonna go over some stuff on the financial side and how it's gonna impact you as a taxpayer. Just first, and follow along in your handout, so all this information's in your handout. This first, item here is basically their, total cost and what each, item's gonna be. We'll run through this real quick. The 1923 building renovations, about 16 million. Intermediate wing renovations, 1.3 million. Intermediate building restroom renovation, 405,000. Covered walkways, 585,000. Playground shade structure, 180,000. Covered walkways for the high school and middle school, 220,000. Middle school expansion, 6th, 7th, 8th food service edition with service yard, 25,250,000. High school science lab renovation, a little over 4 million. High school restroom renovation and sewer line and water line replacement, 1.1 million. High school wall covering removal, finish update, 55,000. The multi-purpose center and activity center, athletics, band, cheer, dance, health, CNA, plus cosmetology and dual credit, 60-yard field, 33,645,000. Additional parking and drop-off drives, the LMAC stadium in the middle school, 4.8 million. High school furniture, phase 2 replacement, 115,000. And these other two here, the slide, disregard that because your handout doesn't have that. New buses and vehicle purchases, it's gonna be 680,000. And district-wide intercom replacement and access control, about 1.3 million. Total package comes to $90 million. Okay, this chart here, I'm just gonna kind of show you what the accumulated debt's gonna be on this $90 million bond. If you look over here on the if you look on the line 10, right there, the 78,000, that's debt service, and that's for evidently they're going to split this bond into two issues. So that's going to be one bond, and that'd be the other bond. And when you come over here, line 11, the combined election debt service with interest, that bond over 25 years is going to cost $158,624,000. And when you combine that with the outstanding debt, which there's money remaining from the bond in 2017, plus I think they have a $2 million maintenance bond they took out a couple of years ago, that comes to $197,268,000 in total debt. And that's not debt to the schools, that's debt to the taxpayer, because the taxpayer is the one that owes that money. Okay, go to the next slide. This next page is one of 6 pages, and this is required to be filed by the election office and state's law. The school district fills this out. And on the very top, you're going to see the bond proposal for and against, and that's what you're going to see when you go to vote. You're not going to see all these other numbers here. But I do want to go over those numbers. Just like we talked about a while ago, on the third line, the total debt and interest from the $90 million bond is $159,637,000. And then the total debt outstanding, which would include all debt the district has, so it comes to $200,814,000 total debt. here is a comparison of the ISD rates in the county. In the Grange ISD literature, they say we have one of the lowest rates. And right now, we're in the middle of the pack. Schulenburg and Flatonia are higher, and Fayetteville and Rantoff are lower. But if the bond passes, we'll be way out in front at nearly $1.14 basically per 100. This next chart, I just kind of broke it down to show what the impact would be on you personally. On the left side, we have the appraised value of your home, and then when you take the $140,000 homestead exemption, which was increased by the state here last year, this is your taxable value. So that's what your taxes are based on. And this line here, this is your what you're currently paying, the tax rate that's in place. If the new tax rate goes into effect, this is what you're gonna pay. And then this will be the yearly increase. And then over 25 years, this is what it's gonna cost you. So let's take a $400,000 home. The taxable value is $260,000. You're currently paying about $2,012 a year. And that will increase to $2,964. So the yearly increase will be $952. And over 25 years, it'll be a cost to you about nearly $24,000. Now, when you turn 65, you get an additional $60,000 homestead exemption, so it goes to $200. Just to let you know on that, to be clear. All right. After I learned of this, I went to the district office and talked to the superintendent, because I wanted a breakdown of what we saw on the first page. There was nothing out at that time like that. So I said I wanted a breakdown for each item that's on that flyer that they had. He told me I would have to file an open records request, and I was shocked. They're asking the taxpayer to support this, but you gotta go through filing an open records request. I mean, something's wrong. So I filed it. And I asked for several things, but the main thing was a breakdown. So this is all I got. And he, superintendent on Monday, the ISD office admitted that there have been no bids, there's no plans drawn up. This is just all conceptual, and they're basing it off the best guess estimates from the architect or contractor, or whatever you want to, say. So I filed another open records request on, you can see up there, April 6th. Going into more detail, and that's in your packet. I haven't received any information back on that yet. And I filed another request yesterday requesting the names of the members that were on the facilities committee. About 40 people, evidently, because that hasn't been released. So I want to see who's on that committee. Okay. That's really all I have. I kind of ran over that pretty quick. I mean, at the end, if you have questions, I'll answer them, but that's kind of what the cost is going to be to you. And Jeff and Sarah will get into more things. I think things will become a little clearer here as we get further into it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Now we're gonna call Jeff Parker back up, talk about his topic.
Before I get started, I realize I didn't really tell you much about me, and there's not a whole lot to tell. I moved here in 2000, we moved full-time in 2014. So I didn't go to school here. I got here as quick as I could. I am married to the lovely leopard, Cassie Parker, who did go to school here most of her education, so she's familiar with a lot of those issues. So one of the things, besides the eye-popping amount of this bond, is that I feel, and having watched the whole process unfold, I feel like it was kind of manipulative of the taxpayer and the voter. And what do I mean by that? Well, I kind of think of an entity like the ISD coming to the taxpayer for money. Kind of works something like this. They get together, they identify needs. They need to borrow money because there are things that they need. So they go over that need list and they make it as frugal as they can. The plan isn't how much can we get out of them, it's how little can we take. And then they get the community involved to go over it on their own and make a case for why they need what they need. And then once they've got all of that secured, they've got some community support and community input, they respectfully approach the taxpayers as though they were stakeholders in the ISD, which they are. But things have changed. Now what you do is you go out and you get an architect. And this architect is a full-service architect that handles everything for you, pretty much including that bond election to make sure they get paid. And that kind of thing just, I don't know, it doesn't set well. And as evidence for that, I'll just point out a few things. Okay, I will. I'll be on this one for a while. The bond election schedule, the whole bond determination schedule was on a hyper-compressed schedule, I thought. It was like 60 days roughly from the first public meetings that actually talked about it through to the vote on February 9th to hold the election. A single proposition, it's a lot of money, but it's sort of presented to us in one big chunk. And the administration and board's answer to that is, well, the community approved it, but that committee was a little different. How many of you were on or remember the 2017 bond election that passed after failing twice, I think? Yeah, I see a few hands out there. This was not that. This committee was rushed through, went very quickly. Go back to the other one, please. Thank you. It was meant to be a rubber stamp, I think. Then come the publications, the information, meetings, letters to the editor, and pretty much all of them, because of the lack of numbers really presented to the public, they were all out of motion. Things like the history of the 1923 building, things like our kids deserve this. The flyer I found really interesting, and we'll get to that in a minute, but doesn't really have any numbers associated with the projects at all, except the total. If you want the numbers, you flip it over. It's got a lot of numbers on why over 65 won't really pay anything. Information control. Ken talked about how he asked for a document that was on the screen when the board voted to hold the election, and he couldn't get it out of the administration. They wouldn't send it to him. He had to file a request for information. And I attended the Frisch Owl public presentation. I found that to be an interesting kind of divide and conquer thing, where they got up and presented, a couple speakers presented some drama at first, and then everybody broke up and went to tables. If you wanted to learn about the thing, you'd go to this table or that table. We couldn't hear what each other were saying, what each other thought. So those are some reasons, and we're going to talk about a few of them. So now, please, Deborah, next slide. Okay, so that committee, let's talk about it a little bit. I was not on the 2017 committee, although in 2017 I was a reflexive no vote on the bond. But because primarily of the integrity of that committee, I was turned from a no to a yes. That committee had a lot of cross-section, not packed with boosters, and they had several meetings. to do their work, and they did their work workshop style. I remember when I was looking into whether or not I was going to vote for that bond, I called up the office and they invited me down to look at the notebooks of information they had that the committee put together going over the various issues and projects. So there was some real rational fiscal analysis. And like I said, it filled several notebooks. It convinced me that there were valid things to vote for. This committee was handpicked to favor bond boosters, and you'll see some quotes that point that out. We had a total of 2 meetings. Each meeting was roughly 2.5 hours. The first meeting was pretty much, half of it was a meet and greet. Who all is there and why are they there? They kicked around the natatorium, and it was pretty clear that we couldn't afford that from an M&O point of view. The second meeting, we sat at tables, again, kind of the divide and conquer approach, and we had some big maps. We'll see a picture of them a little further, but not much time to really go through them. And everything was already presented as kind of one big conglomerate of the numbers. About half an hour before the meeting closed, there was an impassioned speech, as I recall, by one of the boosters. Let's do it for the kids. Let's just do it in one big chunk. So there was a vote. I don't even know if the vote was recorded. It was overwhelmingly for. And then we wrapped up. There was essentially no work product. If you want to look at something that might be called work product, it was the 2 columns. I think we saw one of the charts. If we didn't, we'll see it soon. There was $2 million that would have had to be a separate proposition that the committee advised against including it all. That was really the only work we did. Nothing written, no notebooks, no need for any. So anyway, so please next slide. We have the picture. Oh, I don't know. I wondered about this during the run-up, during all these meetings where we had the architects, bunches of them, 2 or 3, they'd come pretty much every meeting, and a lot of what they were talking about were bond election issues. And I was scratching my head why that was. Well, I went to the Claycomb website just a few days ago and discovered that they do that. They list that as one of the services they offer. They claim that it's no cost, but show of hands, how many of you believe in the Easter Bunny? Okay, I didn't see any hands. Well, okay, Michael, now you can. So how many of you believe that when an architectural firm that has offices in Austin, Dallas, and Houston, go to their website, Claycomb Associates, Google and go to their website, they've got bunches of employees. Do you really believe that that's cost-free? No, it's incorporated and tacked into the cost you're going to pay on the bond. This is kind of a timeline of what happened. The serious talk between the board and the administration happened, well, it better have not occurred beforehand, and I'm trusting that it didn't, on December 1st at what they call the Team of 8 training. And by the way, if you all want to go to some interesting board meetings, the regular meetings are interesting, but these workshops and things, they're real interesting. I would highly recommend going. But starting at the Team of 8 training onto a couple of budget workshops and workshop meetings for the purpose of working through the bond. Then on the 20th of January this year, we had the first committee meeting. Less than 2 weeks later, I think it was about 10 days. I guess I'm going to do the math, huh? 11, yeah, about 2 weeks. We had committee meeting number 2, at which the committee recommended that we put everything in, yeah, here it is, put everything in one proposition, $90 million. The committee did say, just forget Proposition B, that's all athletics, we'll do that some other way. 60 days, start to finish, approval. The approval workshop get the community involved 2 weeks. One big proposal sent to the voters. Next slide. I don't know why, what happened to these? I don't know. Oh, no. Well, this is attractive, but, can't tell you. Well, I'll tell you what, go back one slide. Let me see what I can name here. One more. Yeah, okay. I apologize, but I just wanted to show, this is the kind of thing that we saw during meeting number 2. And it's very small here. We had beautiful full table size. It's a map of the facility and all of the projects listed with their costs. Curiously, when the flyer came out, we all got the picture, but none of the cost information, none of the breakdown. Do we have a flyer floating around?
From this.
Thank you. May I? All right. So one of these slides, the bond flyer, very attractive. I'm almost certain that the consultant, the architect, built this, not the school district. But you'll notice that on the side that talks about what they're going to do, the only number you'll see, besides maybe the page number, is the 90 million. No cost breakdown, no idea of how much money you're paying for these things. If you want numbers, like that says, flip it over. Here's the numbers they want you to know, involving, in the middle, that marching graph downward that seems to indicate that over time, your tax bill will actually go down. Well, that's true, provided property values march upward at that same rate. If they don't, your tax bill won't go down. There is significant information on there about, well, there's that one big yellow banner about here. If you're over 65, that's all you need to know. You won't pay $0 tax impact. That's not exactly true. If you're a senior that owns rental property, and that's what you're using to supplement your retirement, only your homestead is $0 tax impact. If you haven't filed for the exemption before the bonds are issued, may not be 0 impact. So the point is, the consultant, the architect that we hired to do the project, also does a certain amount of clever electioneering to maximize the impact of getting the election done. And there was a lot of stuff on election timing. They didn't want to wait till November for a couple of reasons. One was that's a high turnout election. And the other reason is there's a bugaboo about what the Texas legislature is going to do on school bonds. They're going to make it so that you can't have one in 5 years. They're going to make it so that you must pass with 66%. My answer to that is go out to the public, make it so thorough, and show those needs so well that you pass with 66%. So what? Make it. Get community buy-in. There was a ton of community buy-in in 2017. A lot of people came to grips with that. I'm one of them. I'll testify to it. I decided to vote yes. Oh, okay. See it's there. If you look there at the picture. Oh, there they are. There they are. Oh, look. Okay. That's the picture from the Claycomb website. They don't have the title. That's my title, voter manipulation by design. But notice, bond support. For impactful community engagement, we provide expert bond support at no cost. Every bond is unique, so we customize our approach to align with your community. Our proven success is built on strategic planning, clear messaging, and meaningful stakeholder involvement. So that is what they do. You're paying for it. Yeah, this is what I wanted to show you about what we had, and I don't mean to imply it was this small. It was actually big and beautiful, but we spent our time at our table trying to group these projects in some meaningful set of maybe 30 million, focusing on needs, maybe wants over here, another 40 million. We didn't have time. It came to that, let's get everybody spun up and get that vote, and game over. So, okay, what's another one, please? Yeah, there's the flyer. I think we talked about that enough. Okay, so in addition to attending all of those meetings, I usually record them. And on these, I actually took the step of creating a transcript. Very interesting reading, because it gives you a feel for the way the board and administration are led by the architect towards successful bond election. So regarding the creation of the committee, this is a LaGrange administrator speaking. We would ask all of you to, submit some names of some power people in town to be included on our bond committee as well. Like, who do you think? I've already asked the principals, for some names of parents that are in a wide range of activities that, are going to try to support, the bond. Cross-section of the community? I don't know. Okay, regarding 65s, this is, and again, I've got about 4 hours of audio, which I offered to make available to the record if they want it. It is available. If anyone would like to look at it, there's much more in there. We don't have time to go through 4 hours of video. But these are representative quotes, and every one of them actually panned out in how the process unfolded. Regarding over 65, the other big key is our 65 and older need to be educated big time on how this is not going to affect their taxes. That's correct. That's what I'm looking for. You don't want that 65 and older bunch to come out and make a difference. We don't want that population group to sit there and say, hey, we don't want this. We want them to know, hey, your taxes aren't going to be increased. And so I maintain that, the district never said this in so many words, but what they really are saying is not vote yes. They're okay with just not voting. If you're over 65 and don't vote, they're fine with that. They believe that will make the election go. Okay, the final quote. This is one of the architects saying regarding how many propositions to have. I think it's really a good thing, too, that you can put all that in one proposition. We've had a couple of districts try to split out stuff, and sometimes they end up voting for what they perceive as the money saver, or the lesser of two expenses or two evils, or however they want to view it, But putting something like this in all one proposition, I think, is going to help you. That's by design. That committee was led by the hand with architects, board members, not in their capacity as board members, but boosters, kind of working the room, going from table to table. What do you think? That's kind of how it comes out. Are you done?
I got a question before you
Yes,
switch.
sir.
Who made the middle comment about the 65 and older?
I'm not gonna do names, and
Well, if it was a public meeting.
it was a public meeting, and if you want to look into it, fine. But one of the things, and I mentioned this to our two board members who are here, I want to make this a deliberation on the part of the community. I really don't want it to become a wedge to separate the community. We don't need that. We need to get along. We need to go forward getting along. Should this fail, and I believe it will, it's not like everything on that list was fluff. It's like there are some things that the district needs. And they may come back. When they come back, I would like it to be with the blessing and favor of the community, not with a wedge driven in and polarized.
Yeah.
That's my heart for this.
But if I said something such as that, I would want my name attached to it. You're saying something, but there's no, it's just out there.
Well, and look, I'll jump in. I was there. Mr. Parker was there, and there's nothing to hide. With the first quote, I think the part that was left out is it was also clearly said, we want people to be here that would possibly be opposed. And I think, if I remember correctly, he specifically asked, Mr. Parker, would you be interested? And I have no idea where you stand.
Yeah, he did.
Correct?
Yeah,
So
he
that
did
was,
say.
he did say, include people that would be opposed. It wasn't when he was asking for requests for those names.
That's true, and it was kind of an afterthought. I agree that he did say that. He didn't mention my name in there at that time. I think Calvin
I don't
put me
know,
up for it.
but and then with the 65 and older, again, interpretation, you've got a recording. I was there as well, and sit right by Mr. McHasley. I truthfully, I don't know who said it, but I know it was a conversation. But my take on it was the majority of the voters, because we know based upon the numbers, is our 65 and older are bought in, and they go vote and they participate in elections. Let's make sure that they're educated that this may not affect them. Again, exact words, I don't know, but I don't think that it was ever a thought to try and stop anybody from voting. Again, you may have taken it differently, but that's just my feel on having been there as well.
Okay, Mr. Wessel, on that one, I disagree with you. I believe the clear meaning of what was said was, like you said, you don't want that 65 and older bunch to come out and make a difference. Yeah, it's okay if they vote, but you don't want them to come out and make a difference. I think that's pretty clear on that statement, including the before and after. Yes, ma'am.
Is this part of the discussion, or are you gonna continue? Yeah, I'd like to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, we probably need to get on with the
Yeah, I
program,
think so.
but I didn't want to ignore the comment from the audience. Okay, this is just regarding tonight, after we had scheduled
We had
this
questions.
meeting.
I wanna hear him.
The district,
You're 65 and older.
set up their own meeting, same time as ours, delivered conflict. So, okay, I think I've probably taken way into time. Oh, I am. I have one more slide. This was, talking about the misplaced priorities. There's a lot of stuff in here for a district that really needs to work on its academic performance. 4 out of 5 districts in Fayette County in academic performance. Asking for quite a bit for athletics and band funding. I heard one trustee at one of the meetings just talking about going to play sports at another district, and it's really nice, some of these facilities they have, so it's almost a little bit of facility envy. I understand that, and if Elon Musk comes here, a company, and decides to donate a bunch of money and we build some of that stuff, that's great. But it's wants, not needs. Renovation of the 1923 building, not really sure how wide that perception is that, oh, we've got to preserve this historic jewel at any cost. I know folks who went to that school. I will quote my own wife. She said, it's not the building I remember from that time, it's the people I met. So it's a lot of money on misplaced priorities. And one important one that was pointed out, I believe, by Mr. Yonda when he spoke in front of the board, it raised the cost of living in LaGrange ISD when your housing costs go up. And you gotta recruit teachers, and that's a typical issue. So that seems to be kind of outlined here. Okay, I guess now I'm gonna, that was enough, right? Okay. So Sarah's next up.
Yeah, we're gonna call up Miss Sarah Mabry, and she will introduce herself.
Thank you. I'm Sarah Mabry, and I want to thank each and every one of you for coming out. I also want to thank the Fayette County Record for carrying us live, and I hope that the radio, I hope that, let's see, it comes across Facebook, is that right? I hope the Facebook audience is out there too. I also want to say thank you to our president of our school board, Gary Drabb, one of our board members, Anthony Wessels, and Ms. Tina Henneville, and John Henneville. And I see one of what I call LaGrange royalty in the room, and that's Miss Jennifer Hoffman, who came and drove all the way from Galveston to be here. I think what we have here is a perfect storm. I think, as Mr. Parker alluded to academics, I think that's part of it. I think the sports is a part of it. And I think that we have an opportunity at this point in the history of LaGrange ISD to come together and to work together. And that's what it's going to take. I've been a part of the LaGrange community, the ISD family, since 1971. I've known every superintendent since 1971. I did not know Mr. McCaslin. So I took the opportunity to pop in and visit with him, just to meet him and say, you're the only superintendent I've never met. And I did, and he was most cordial. I sense that he is well-meaning. I sense, however, that he has major problems, and he needs help. And he needs the help of each and every one of us in this room. The academics are not in the tank, but they're not where we want them. And from teaching and counseling in the LaGrange ISD for 29 years, out of my 45, I can tell you that this school district was always a cut above, and the community always expected that. And why should we expect less now? The difficulties, the challenges that the students of this day and age are facing are quite difficult. They're not competing against just Columbus. They are not competing just against Austin. They're competing against the world. The world has come to Texas. And with it, they have brought talent. Who wouldn't want to be here? We just happen to be sitting in the middle of what I call major brain trust. The academics and the academic research institutions in Austin, College Station, and I put Glenn College right up there with them. And by the way, this school district has produced a current dean at Glenn College in Brenham. The school district has produced outstanding students, outstanding graduates who went on to make a difference in science, liberal arts, in all realms. But our students now have a competitive landscape that I never had to face, and many of us never had to face. We're part of a family here, and when we have a problem, we have to work together. To me, it's like your house. Every now and then you have to shore it up, and that means everybody has to work together. But we have to have leadership, and we have to have priorities, we have to have goals, and we have to have, in the world of education, it's called objectives, enabling objectives, whatever you want to call it, but we have to execute. I have some information that I brought, or I found. I was aware of it, but you know, sometimes you dig through the internet and you have to take a very deep dive to find things. But I want to share this with you because it speaks to the major goal that the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board and Texas Education Agency have set for the students of this state. We can flip back. We can flip back. This is the strategic plan for 2030. And you can see that they're tracking. The Texas Education Agency is tracking us, they're tracking every public school and charter school in the state. In the year 2030, they want 60% of our students to have what I call a what's next plan. And I think higher education takes in, as the state comply with them, it takes in four-year universities, it takes in JUCOs, like Glenn College, which actually is one of the best in the nation. It takes in junior college, it takes in trade schools, it takes in the military. But every student must have a plan and be ready. And they're tracking us. So, in an effort to do that, we have a guidepost. We can get to the next. And I am sure that Anthony and Gary are aware of this. You know how difficult it is.
Yes.
Okay. You want all the help you can get, don't you? Okay. We know you do. And we're not working against anybody. We're working for you, and we want to join forces with you. This first one, at the top on the left, to recruit, support, and retain teachers. Well, LaGrange at one time didn't have a problem with that. We grew our own. That's no longer the case. I'll talk to you in a few minutes about an idea that I shared with Mr. McCaslett to help solve that problem, not solve it, but in other words, to address it. I don't have to tell anybody what building a foundation for reading and math is. That's where it all is. If you can read and you can write, and I'm going to add my third one. If you can read, write, and work, you've done a lot for a child. And the connecting of the high school to the college and the career. And that does not necessarily mean somebody has to go to Yale or Princeton. but they have to have a plan. They've got to have a stepping stone. So, improving low-performing schools. And I don't think, in my opinion, a C is not in the tank. But it doesn't appear that we're moving in the right direction. And now is the time for us to take the opportunity. Now's the time for intervention. And now's the time to address it. Let me go back to that first one, to the recruit, support, and retain teachers. I was driving by the Educational Service Center on 237 and Business 71. And it occurred to me that that is a we know it is a place where educational training can occur. We have major universities 50, 40, 60 miles away. And each one of those major universities has a college of education. Whether it's Texas State, now Texas A&M in Victoria, the University of Texas, Baylor. They all have colleges of education, and they're all graduating teachers who are all graduating more than likely with student debt. If there is a way, if there is a possibility that LaGrange ISD could have a joint venture with these universities, colleges of education. And by the way, we happen to have a former superintendent who sits on the board of Region 13 Educational Service Center in Austin. And I believe the chairman of that board is a former superintendent in Fayetteville. So it seems we have so many resources that we're not taking advantage of. We have a place, we have a school that needs teachers, and we have teachers who need a place. I just happen to serve on the Dean's Advisory Committee for the Texas A&M College of Education. And I'm going to give a special invitation to our president, Gary, if you would like to join me next Friday at the meeting in College Station. Now, I can drive.
Don't do it.
I will be happy to take you.
You try.
Even though I backed through our garage door yesterday. For about the third time. But
I'll meet you there.
but on that truck, it has senior driver, okay? But I would love for you to go with me. I would love for you to meet Dr. De Miranda, and I would love for them to meet you. I want to see this whole community. We're a family. I want to see us pull together. I want to see us address the issues. I know we have academic problems. I know we have teacher recruitment problems. We can't pay them. Well, it just so happens that a lot of these teachers come out with student debt, and most of them do. If you teach in a school for 5 years, public school, you teach in 5 years, you can erase your student debt if it is a impoverished school district, which we are classified as, right? I'd have to ask, what's the percentage of free and reduced lunch? 66?
I couldn't tell you the exact number now.
Is it over 50?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, and I think it's a direct placement, it's not a choice on that deal. Don't quote me on that, but Charlie's going through it right now. I think you tie your hands on where you get placed if you go into that program, so you don't necessarily pick and choose where you wanna go to eliminate that debt, was what I got out of it when Charlie looked into it.
Right, you have to go to a,
But I think
high,
they assign you to one.
not necessarily.
Okay.
Okay, and I'll tell you this, recruiting teachers, what's wrong with recruiting out of state? Who doesn't wanna come to Texas? I'm glad somebody in my family came a long time ago.
Other states
But-
are doing it to us. There was multiple states at the most recent job fair at A&M.
There you go. There you go. Tina,
And Ms. Mabry, I work in the HR department at LaGrange ISD, and so I can tell you as far as like you're talking about the partnership between LaGrange ISD and the education departments at all these universities.
Right.
We attend all of the job fairs for all of the education departments around here. And so, they have low turnout. Students aren't coming to them. People don't wanna come to LaGrange. It's a small community. And you talk about, we have a issue with hiring teachers. We have an issue with anybody even wanting to come here. And these are the big main issues that we face. Number one, there's nothing for kids to do here. So if they're young people with young children or they're looking to start a family, there's nothing for them to do here. There's also no daycare around. We have multiple staff members who live in LaGrange, drive to Weimar or a surrounding community, and drive back to LaGrange to be on clock by 7:30 or 7:45.
I believe that.
So that's another issue. The other one is there's no jobs for their spouses. If their spouse is not an educator, there is nothing new in LaGrange. There's no new businesses. The banks employ the same people they had for many years. Their LCRA, the hospital is closed. Hopefully we'll get a new hospital. You know, if you don't have a teaching degree, you don't get to work in school. There's just nothing for spouses to do. It's very hard. So when you talk about bringing people in and this used to be the place where everybody wanted to come, it still is. There's just so many things that our community does not offer to bring those people in.
And this is why we have to work together as a community. Any growth program, if we're gonna pull this district out of the C category and raise it, it has to start with a plan. And I project it would take 10 years to do it. So, what is that saying? If you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk.
Duck.
If you can't walk, crawl. But by all means, keep moving. So we can't just accept this. We have to find creative ways to make it happen. Yes, sir.
One thing I've noticed on both
Wait.
sides,
Let us finish the program, and then we're going to take questions and comments,
No,
okay?
no,
no, she's fine.
I'll take,
No, she's fine. One thing I've noticed on both sides is your state representatives that goes to Senate make the rules, and our new representative is Dennis Giesman, and he has not been invited or been in any of these programs, and that's somebody we need here so he understands what's going on in the education, because that's, pardon me, fresh breath, fresh air going into the legislature, and that's somebody who needs to be very involved in these meetings.
I don't disagree with you one bit. We need, and he lives in
In Flatonia,
right?
yes, ma'am,
I don't disagree with you one bit. We need all the help that we can get.
correct.
But we can't, no one single superintendent, no one single teacher, no one single person can do this alone.
Right, and it all comes from Austin.
I know, you see, it's all coming down.
All public school funds.
That's right, everything. Only what, about 5 or 10% comes out of the feds now? I think that's about right.
Yes, it's not even that anymore.
But if I gave students one thing, and you're not my students, but you're my classroom today, I would want to give every one of them courage. Because without courage, you cannot move. You cannot go forward. And I know these young men are working very hard and giving of their time. Their minds lines are open. They are born and bred. That you don't have to be born and bred to be here, to be a leader. But people respect you. They respect your families. And like I said, I think we have a perfect storm. And it's up to all of us. And it's up to the school and the leaders of the school to join hands. Any questions?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Follow the rules.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. All right, we're almost finished with our presentation. Just want to make a point. All the efforts that this committee has gone through, all of the time that anyone else has spent thinking or working for or against this, none of that matters if you don't get out and vote.
Amen.
Okay? As noted earlier, the LaGrange ISD has targeted over 65 voters attempting to keep them from voting.
No.
They targeted athletic supporters to get them to vote.
It ain't gonna happen.
ISDs historically schedule elections at times when voters are distracted by other things happening in their lives. End-of-school activities, vacation planning, primary runoff elections. They know this scheduling confuses voters as to when and where to vote and what to vote on. The ISDs count on their supporters being well-informed and motivated, and others being uninformed, unmotivated, or confused. So, we ask you to vote no on this $90 million bond request. Now, so you won't be confused. Here are the dates, times, locations for early voting and election day. The last day you can vote is May 2nd, and that's going to be at the LaGrange City Hall. All the early voting is going to be at the election office in LaGrange. All right, I'll open it up for questions. All right, Patsy?
That's what I'm not.
My name is Patsy Parker, and I went to LaGrange schools from the middle of first grade through the middle of 11th grade, and then my dad was transferred to Houston, where I had to go finish the last year and a half of high school. The good news was LaGrange had such a great education that I was up with and sometimes ahead of some of the students. These students had just moved in. This was 1972. They had moved in from New York and New Jersey with all the oil companies. There were 4,000 people in a new school, bigger than the town I moved from. So it was an experience. But I graduated from that school in my senior year. I had so many credits, I only had to go 3 classes my senior year, but because of the state regulations or something, I went for. One thing I want to comment on, with Fayette County Republican Women, we give a dictionary to all the 3rd graders, and I went to Flatonia. Tina, Flatonia has nothing. They don't have a pool. They don't have a bowling alley. This just came to me. And those students, they're Blue Ribbon Elementary or something like that. And those students were thriving and excited. So I know we don't have as much as we had even when I grew up here, but they have even less even now. There's no place for a spouse to work if they're not in education in Flatonia. Here, we're 30 miles from Brenham. We're 60 miles from Austin. And there's things to do. I hope we grow commercially. But one of the problems that I have seen lately is when we have a commercial building available, what happens?
The city buys it.
The county buys it, the school district buys it, and it takes millions of dollars off the tax roll, and it goes to the residents who own homes. And that's one thing that affects me, because my sister and I bought a home in town, we're over 65, but because we own homesteads in other parts of the county, we can't take anything off. We pay full price right now. So my issue with the bond election is it's gonna put us out, and we bought that house so that when we're older ladies and can only walk or drive our Tesla to the grocery store, we can. So, thank you.
Sure, I'll take the mic.
I'm Gary Grapp. I'm on the school board. I am the elected board president. I've been on the board since 2011. I just refiled and nobody ran against myself or Kurt Herber, so we were now back. But anyway, I'm born and raised in LaGrange, graduated in '85. I do believe in purple and gold. I will tell you that. And I don't mean to be mean to some of you that moved in or anything, but you do not understand what the purple and gold means to LaGrange. So I'll just leave it at that. Tina does not need to be attacked like she was just attacked, Ms. Parker. I'm just going to let you know that I felt that Tina was attacked, but anyway. The other thing, and I don't mean that in a negative way, Ms. Parker. I just wanted to say that because
I think she was rebuttaling to her statement.
I am speaking right now. Okay. But anyway, just to let you know, I do believe in purple and gold. One of the things, Mr. Parker and he came to the meetings. He has a lot of stuff that he talks to us. I feel like him and I are brothers since he's been coming here for the last 5 years to the board meeting. He does not agree with what all we say, but he listens, and we listen to him. And that's the way I think this whole process needs to be, instead of getting this hostility out there and bringing some stuff up that's really don't need to be said or whatever. It's, we're in this as a community. I mean, we're in this together, like Ms. Mabry said.
Excuse me.
The other thing, can I go?
I want to bring up some. I attended the school district's meeting at Frishoff, and there was no public comment from us. People that wanted to talk, we couldn't ask any questions. And I mean, if you have a question, that's fine, but we called the meeting. We're here to talk about the bond. We're not going to listen to a dissertation from the school board. I mean, I'm sorry. If you have a question, we'll try to answer it.
Yes, I do. Ms. Parker just didn't have any questions, and she didn't have any questions. So I don't understand what.
Well, I mean, y'all didn't let us speak at your meeting.
Actually, the meeting at Frishoff was not a school district hosted meeting, that was by the PACT.
Well, I mean, the PAC wouldn't let us talk either.
Well, I have nothing to do with the PAC either.
Okay, well, we've got a lot of people that have questions, so
Okay,
if you kind of.
I do have a couple questions for Ms. Mabry, okay? Ms. Mabry, I never disagreed with you as a teacher, okay? But I think you need to have another meeting with Mr. McCaslett. He is a wonderful Christian man. So I would love for you to have schedule another meeting with Mr. McCaslett and discuss LaGrange's future needs, okay?
He was very open to my
Right,
idea.
but I would encourage you to just have one more meeting, please, okay?
I will.
Okay, the other thing too, the C rating, it is kind of misleading. Our elected officials in Austin have changed the way public schools have been rated for the last 3 years. I can't tell you what we would have been 3 years ago, but I do know like the middle school campus would have definitely been a high B, like it was 3 years ago. But the way it's out there now is, we're a Regency campus. I agree we need to do better. Of course we need to do better. I mean, there's always improvement, in academics. We definitely need to improve. The other thing I had for, Ms. Mabry too, as far as, teacher retention. We would love to keep the teacher retention. There used to be a list for teachers to come here. The one thing that we found out through all the school board conferences is that this is not just a LaGrange problem, it's a statewide problem. And just to let you know too, we do have applicants that come from out of state and, as far as to put in the position. So we have a couple of those, but anyway, that's all I have to say.
I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Can I ask you?
Yes.
And this is what I was told, I'm just asking, because I'm a broad person, I like everything. On the C rating, is it because a bunch of the students are not coherent in English? Could that be?
That's some of it. Yes, it is, Mike. We are always looking for teachers. They are very, very hard to find, those type of teachers. And, if you have a child or whatever, a grandchild, and they want to
But no, my
please
sister-in-law
go.
told me, she's
Yes.
bilingual, she said I
Right,
could make
right.
a lot of money.
Oh, yes, you're right. They have bilingual on, they can definitely make more money than.
We need to move on, we need to take some questions from others.
Thank you.
I was just wondering if there's a truancy problem.
No.
No?
Our attendance is
Attendance
actually
is-
up this year, currently.
Yeah.
The attendance is over 96% for the
Yes.
school.
We have
For
some more
each
questions.
campus, the attendance rate is like at
Anything on finance?
of the 90%.
I would like to ask something. How is putting us in more debt going to fix the C rating? Or teacher retention? We're going into $200 million worth of debt.
Well, from the
Shouldn't
financial
we
side.
pay off what our debts are first?
Absolutely.
Who makes that decision?
I think I could speak to that a little bit. And at risk of it being viewed as an attack on Ms. Hudeville, which it's not, you talked about there not being anything to do in town. Be that as it may, how does building a $40 million covered playing facility do anything for that? And I will mention this, in the group that has been meeting regarding the school improvements and maybe really improving the schools, as Sarah Mabry speaks, there are a lot of people who do not want a $90 million bond to build glitzy playing fields, but they would support more money. They would support a bond for more money to improve the educational process. And I know that too, just a comment, several times before the board, y'all know, I have encouraged you to do a moonshot. And here's where I get that term. Back in '62, John Kennedy, after the Russians launched their Sputnik, said, we gotta do something about this. Before the decade is out, we're gonna land a man on the moon. The board has come together amazingly well to get behind this giant bond package. You put a lot of extra time in on it. I applaud you for putting the effort. Why can't LaGrange ISD launch an innovative project to get that grade up to a B and an A within a year or two? Why can't you do that? But I've mentioned that 2 or 3 times, and I get that look. No comments from the board. No, nothing back at it. Why can't we do that? We can put a lot of money and effort in the buildings, but we can't put effort in focusing on getting the community together. It might take mentors. It might take people in business to give their time to tutor students. I don't know what it would take. I'm not an educator. We have wonderful educators that can speak to that. Why can't we do that? I still don't understand. That's my question.
Well, yeah, 100% that's the goal, Mr. Berg, but I think 2 things play into that. Is your grade comes out on, your grade comes out based upon things that have previously happened, right? They go back, and it's not just last year that they're grading. The grades are very delayed from where they should be, right? And in the middle of that, during the last election, they moved the goalpost on us, which we understand. So there are a bunch of things being done that'll help improve that grade. College career military ready. We added the extra period to allow for more elective classes, finding teachers for those, right? But those are all things that are gonna improve your grade. But classroom space, facilities to do them, all this plan does tie into that. And I know we focus a lot on the indoor play facility, and I get it, but that's really kind of the smaller part of that building, right? There's a bunch of classrooms in that building. We're gonna unify everything on one campus, and there was a lot of the drive behind it. So yes, the goal is there, the 5-year strategic plan that everybody spent a bunch of time on, that we get updated on, that we're following. So there are plans in place. I would agree with you, and probably one of the hardest things it's been for me to learn is, who works in a business world outside of here, you can make changes really fast in a business world.
Yes,
And it's not near as easy in education as well.
It is a slow process, and that's why I threw out that a 10-year plan. It will take 10 years. You cannot snap your fingers.
Yeah, and we started with the first 5-year strategic plan, with a plan to follow that up, as what, 2 years in? Yeah.
Right, goals, objectives, but you gotta execute. And you gotta have people buying in, and you have to have, let's face it, you have to have accountability. The state has a hammer, they got the hammer. They have raised the bar, they're going to continue to raise the bar. So, I mean, that's just the game.
Okay, Mike, go ahead.
But all schools are graded the same way. Whether it's LaGrange, or Fayetteville, or Timbuktu. Everybody's graded the same. And LaGrange School, I don't know exactly how many years, but about the last 10 years or so has gone, academically, gone downhill. Why? Do you know why? I sure don't know why. But could you tell me which items on this list here are gonna have a direct effect on bringing LaGrange Independent School District back to #1, even just in this county? Which of these items will do that? It doesn't appear to me any of them.
I'm not here to
Which one do you think?
Right, moving to 6th grade down on a campus where they should be with the middle school.
That's gonna increase academics.
Absolutely, it's gonna move them away from elementary.
You're gonna move the 6th grade down to the 8th grade.
As a true
Pardon?
middle school campus.
In my opinion, these girls are maturing a whole lot younger, and I believe you're going the wrong way on that. But anyhow, ma'am, you talked about the reason they don't come to LaGrange. Which items on this list are gonna bring them to LaGrange?
Actually, you have to remember, you're dealing with 24-year-old students coming out of college. They're not 65, they're not 50, they're not 40. They're 24 and 25 years old. They are coming from colleges where they've had nice facilities and all kinds of top-notch learning facilities, and that's what they expect to
Now,
see when they
ma'am,
come.
that wasn't my question. My question
I
was,
answered your question.
which items on this list that's on the bond is gonna bring these 24-year-olds to LaGrange?
They like to see things like that. They like to see that we have a true middle school where the students are of an appropriate age between 6th and 8th grade. They like to see that we put money into our academics and our extracurricular activities, because extracurricular activities are the things that drive students to want to be at school. Kids these days don't want to be in school just to do reading, writing, and arithmetic. They want to play sports, they want to be in band.
Well, why don't we just cut all that math and everything out, just get 18-wheeler loaded with balls and throw them out on the campus? That's all you wanna do is play ball. The athletics
The first thing I
Athletics
said was,
has done better
it's not just
than the academics.
academics.
The academic, do you agree the academics has gone downhill?
No, I don't. I had a child that graduated in 23 and one in 20. And my child has done, both of my children have done very well and gone on to college.
Well, why are they rated a C in one of these schools?
I think a lot of that has to do with, it would be great for you guys to come down and ask questions and see how the state calculates that and learn about special populations of students and how many times they count into the figuring of our school ratings. And again, realizing that those numbers are several years back.
I really don't know how all that works, but all I know is
Come, we'd love to show you.
all schools are graded the same way, and I'd sure like to see LaGrange academics improve. Now,
We agree.
I don't know that this is the right plan, but we need to get these academics back at least to where they were. LaGrange used to be the number one in the whole county, number one in multiple counties, but I don't think that's the case anymore. Anyhow, appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Hopefully we can change.
Ms. Hunefeld, I have a question about the comment that if there's extracurricular activities, that's what kids want to go to school for, not just math and all of that.
No, that's a lot of times what also is a driving force to help them do well in their classes.
Okay, if that's true, we've had good extracurricular activities in LaGrange for a long time. The band is highly rated. The football team has done well. Most of the athletics have done well. Since you're fond of data-driven approaches in the school, which I applaud, I think they need to be data-driven not just on input costs, but on results. But we've had that for so long. How does that explain the low average? And then you look at the other districts. We're the 4th out of 5. We're not like number 2. We're 4th out of 5. Flatonia, how do they do it? You know, how does that
Mr.
figure
Parker,
with what
like
you
always,
said?
come sit down and visit with those so that it can explain how that is all figured by the state, and maybe that would give you a better understanding of like Mr. Wessels was saying and Mr. Draft, about setting those goals and how long it takes to get there and the numbers that are improving and things like that.
I'm Michael Gatlin, and I have not lived in LaGrange a very long time. We bought some property here in '06, and we lived between here and Latonia. But we built our home, and we intend to stay here the rest of our lives. We love it here. The reason why I'm going to vote against this proposal is because of the process that was used to bring it to us. This is an old playbook that this organization, unfortunately our administration, I guess, is using, or the consultants use to pass bonds. We lived in Tomball for 30 so years, and they passed or tried to pass a bond issue, and they rushed it through, proposed it in a short period of time, and there were a few people. At that time, we had 4 in the high school in Tomball, so I knew about that, and that was my first involvement in anything public. Well, I wrote some letters, others did. We defeated that bond issue big time. After it was defeated, some of us who were opposed were asked to participate in another discussion for the community. Now you got to realize, this was in about 1993, so it was a long time ago. Tomball had about 8,600 people in it. One school, one high school. It's not what it is today. But we met for about, and I was asked to be on that subsequent group of folks, and we met for about a year had children in the system, and we were allowed to express our priorities for our children. Now, after the citizens had the input that was beneficial, they had another bond issue, and it passed favorably. And I guess the experience I saw in the paper recently, that happened here a few years ago too, where a couple were defeated and then finally passed. Maybe that was the one in 17. All I'm saying is, I think the process was improper. It didn't allow the parents, the citizens, and the taxpayers to have the input into this vital, important issue. I mean, our kids' education is premier. That's the most important thing for us as parents and as citizens. But the people who have the most knowledge are the parents. And I think this color hair, I was pretty insulted about that. I will say that. I am, you wouldn't guess it, but I am over 65. And I guarantee my bride and I are going to be voting, and it will be against us. And I hope everybody and anybody will come out and vote and exercise. But I think everybody needs a better opportunity to have some input on what their community needs. And so that's why I'll be voting yes. I guess my question, if I gotta have one though, is why was this thing hurried through and something of that nature, or why can't we have something of the nature that I proposed over the next year or 6 months or whatever it is and do this thing right?
Hi, my name's Mike Slovak. I'll make it quick. Ms. Tennerfield, were you the one that made the very passionate post on Facebook?
I was.
Okay. So you wrote
Michael,
literally.
Michael, are you gonna attack, or are you gonna present a question to?
I'm gonna present a question.
Not to my wife.
It's okay.
So I can't,
She's not in the board.
It's okay. John.
This is not an attack.
Oh, no, it's just gonna
John, I'm good.
do a quote.
I'm good.
Well, this is what I was afraid of.
It said it is
When we
concerning to me and many others to see voices that appear more focused on protecting personal financial interests than on strengthening the future of our school and our children. It does make a difference when, and is that an attack?
Michael,
I'm using her words. Is that an
I
attack?
understand. But this
Is
is what I
that
was
an attack?
afraid of when we came here, is the school board and my wife came here to be a part of y'all's group, like
I'm
y'all are a
just
part of the front
repeating
group.
what she put on social media.
But then,
That's all I'm
all I've
doing.
heard was questions to them and not to your committee.
Well, it's funny, I'm being very respectful and you're not.
I'm not.
Okay, guys,
So-
let's move on.
So-
You have a question, Michael?
I guess what my question is it does matter with our personal finances because my wife and I have taken scrap houses, literally dirt houses. And we have been in there till 11, 12 at night working, pulling sheetrock, doing everything. And we built little Airbnbs and we built little rental properties. Our taxes are going to, because they're not homesteaded, our taxes are going to go through the roof. We have very good renters. We only have one house that is over $1,000. Where's Miranda? I don't know. I think it's 1,100. It's 3 bedroom, 2 bath, 2,200 square feet. It's very big. We have very affordable housing for people. Between insurance rates, taxes, everything that's happened in the last few years, guess what? We have perfect renters who we're going to have to look at now and go, guess what? Your rent's going up. How do I explain that to them? So people can have an indoor training facility, fix the plumbing, fix what needs to be done in the classrooms, but this is bullcorn, what's going on?
My post did not have anyone's name and was not directed to you or anyone in a specific way.
Okay,
It's the
thank you.
constant-
End of that discussion. We're gonna move on to a question that was submitted to us. So, this is, again, not something that this group can address, but if somebody from the ISD can just answer the question without giving us a dissertation, we would appreciate it. So the question is, what is the number of undocumented students enrolled in LaGrange ISD? Anybody answer
What was
that?
that, I'm sorry?
What is the number of undocumented students enrolled in LaGrange ISD?
I couldn't tell you that.
Okay.
Regardless, we have to allow everyone to go to school, that's state law, so I don't know that that's tracked separately.
Okay. All right. Any other questions out there?
So my question is the numbers that you have supplied in the packet, I know some of these pages are directly from the school, but some of them are not. They've been prepared by someone here on the committee, I'm assuming. And so I noticed that there are differences in those numbers in some cases between what's been presented by LaGrange ISD or the PACT and different things like that. Can you explain why there's differences?
What numbers are you talking about?
Just different places, like for instance, the tax, like if you figure this one where you figure your taxes, it's different from what's on the website. So I'm just curious how, I just figured one of them, for
I
instance.
mean, there could be a couple of dollars off, but, I mean, you take the tax rate and the taxable value, and that's what it is.
But can you explain why there's other things, like I know there's been some posts about, how things will affect taxes and, the numbers are very different from what's been presented by the school.
What post are you talking about?
On Facebook, on your Facebook page.
I mean, I don't know what people post on Facebook.
Think it's the fuzzy map.
Not specifically that one, but there's been some charts and things that were shared with some lines, graphs showing how things
That
go up.
wasn't, I know what you're talking about, that wasn't posted by us.
Okay, any other questions?
I mean, these pages are out of your information, only, that graph is correct, and the one that talks about the home values, what you're gonna pay, that's correct.
But it is different, there are differences.
Okay, you say so, I don't know what you're talking about.
May I say this? If you can present a specific example.
Well, I did, for instance,
Well, you showed us the one you say is different, but you didn't show us different from what exactly?
From if you go to the, school website, you go to the bond website, and you look at the tax, how it will affect you. My husband and I have looked at it, and these numbers are different than when I calculate it or I plug in my information on the website.
Are y'all's numbers correct? I'll double check mine every time.
I just double checked it.
So we'll pay less than 90 million? Is that where we're going with this?
No, I'm talking about the,
He's talking about the chart, about this
taxes.
chart right here.
I paid the 90 million plus the service.
And the interest.
How it will affect me annually, there's a difference.
Okay, so you're saying in certain people will not be paying, certain people will be paying more and certain people will be paying less. Because it's 90 million bond, so somebody's gonna pay it, is my.
Of course, I'm not arguing that. What
Okay,
I'm
so I
asking
think we're
is
splitting
the
hairs
yearly
on-
increase on my taxes is more here than it is on this, if you calculate it.
So when you calculate all that, we're paying less than 90 million plus service.
That's not my, I don't think you're lying.
I don't understand why the tax rate really matters.
Well, I asked
The issue is about the $90 million bond, that's the issue.
I understand my question.
Okay. Here's what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna take the questions from the guy in the turquoise shirt.
First, I want to know who is the company that we hired to do this assessment? Secondly, who hired him? And is it one of the companies under investigation by the AG? And last but not least, how much square feet of school does $70 million worth of interest buy us?
Okay, I
Anybody can
think
answer that?
Jeff can answer the question about the company.
The company is Claycomb Associates, CLAYCOMB.
And who hired him?
I don't know anything about an Attorney General inquiry. I don't have the answer to the number of square
Is it the
feet.
school board? Is it McCaslin? Who hired him?
I imagine the school, the administration hired them. Is that correct?
Is there a name we can attach to that?
I can answer, they were a part of the 2017 bond. And since they've been with the bond, they're, strictly deal with school districts. The district has decided, whether it's administration or the board, voted to keep them through this process.
Did y'all open it up to anybody else?
No, we did not,
I
because.
would have. I think that would be prudent.
Yeah, because, I mean, for the simple fact is, you know, there's a lot of things you don't know from the 17 bond. I mean, they did save us some money for, you know, just because of what their oversight and what they were doing with the construction company that got the bid. You know, they were there to save money. So, you know, the district is very familiar with them.
Competition is good though, that's where I'm going with this. Why wasn't it competitive? Why is it just this person? And secondly, the last question, $70 million worth of interest, $90 million bond, $160 million is the total. How much square foot of school do we get for $70 million worth of interest? Think about that. How much? Anybody?
Good question. I don't know the
Zero.
answer.
You get nothing for that interest that's gonna come out of your pocket.
Oh, the interest, I see.
That's what I'm talking about, the interest. How much square foot of bond, how much square feet of school do you get for $70 million worth of interest? Seems kind of very reckless, that's my opinion.
Okay, thank you. We have a written question submitted. First it said, how many students are currently enrolled in LaGrange ISD? And somebody wrote in an answer, 1,847. Assume that's about correct.
Yes, close,
Okay.
1850.
And then the second question was, how many of the students are eligible for CTE? I don't know what that is, but Sarah does.
Career and tech education.
Career and technology.
She did.
I did.
Yeah.
I went to the meeting on Monday night. I just want to make a comment. There were very few people there, maybe a dozen. Maybe one or two actual parents. Most of us were seniors. But this daycare thing, there is a district daycare proposed on campus in the 5th and 6th grade area, according to Mr. McCaslin.
Yes.
Is that his name?
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
just the 6th grade though, right? And the 5th grade staying down there.
Right.
So the daycare thing is proposed. Also, let's see, they also mentioned that the plumbing issues would be addressed whether the bond goes through or not.
They have to be. Yeah, they have to be.
Yeah.
Yes.
Career and technology education is part of the academic tracking, and students, through the guidance of their counselors, administrators, they choose a pathway. They choose a pathway in 8th grade, and then that is tracked by the state. And the counselors are really responsible for guiding these students on that career technology education pathway. And if students are not, then the school is flagged for it. So it is a must. You have to do it. And that's why, of my 45 years, I did 17 in the classroom. The rest of it was really career and technology and college and career readiness. And that's really my forte. And so, and I'm still helping students pro bono with this. So, you know, I'm just thinking of, I know how these colleges and universities operate. When they look at an application from students, they're going to look at the high school. Now, if you're in the top 10% in every public university in the state, except the University of Texas, and I think that's been lowered to either 5 or 6%, but they don't have room for all the students. So, they look at the high school from which that applicant is graduating, and they look at the standards, and they look at the scores, and they look at the rating of the school. And so it does, just because you're in a top 10%, a lot of these students, they want to get into, say, the biomedical track at the University of Texas, or at Texas A&M, or at Texas State. And your school's ranking is critical. So don't think that just because your child may be in the top 10%, that they're in, because they may not be. And and by the way, we have a LaGrange High School graduate who is Director of Admissions for Texas A&M. He also sits on the Applied Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board, Applied Texas Commission. So, you see, we have people. You've got a network, you know. We have a network of people, young people, that you can reach out to, that we can all reach out to, who are in positions. They're influencers. And that's what we need. Vote.
Yeah, I want to address, they said my numbers are wrong here. There's a little chart goes up to 450,000. And they listed as the projected monthly increase. Well, when you multiply that by 12, which is the yearly increase, I'm right on target. I might be $1 off. But these numbers are correct. That's your yearly increase. So I don't know where they're coming up saying my numbers are wrong, but it exactly matches what they have on their little blueprint handout there. So.
I could have misadded too, but I know there's also been some other numbers, like I said, like the chart.
Okay, do we have any other questions from the audience? Okay. Deborah in the back? Oh, it's just written questions? Okay, I've got a written question here. I guess, again, this is for the ISD. Does anyone know how many classrooms are being added to the sports complex?
There's, no, I've seen the plan, I don't remember that number.
Okay.
As far as the sports complex, state law says if you have something that strictly deals with athletics, it has to be a separate issue on the bond. So when you stick 2 or 3 classrooms in there, they can say it's got other uses. So that's what happened on the sports complex. And it is 100, according to the superintendent, at our Monday meeting, 113,000 square feet, which is 2.5 acres. That's how big that building's going to be.
Okay.
That includes the 2 classrooms, but the majority of it is for sports.
Okay, here's the question. Again, how many currently enrolled at high school level? Come on.
600.
Yeah.
600. All right. How can 1,020 students participate in all these CTE, sports, etc., if there are only 600 enrolled in high school? Don't know.
Well, you would have the junior high, and you would add, the facility would be available to touch anybody that can get to it and use it.
Okay.
So it wouldn't just be tied to high school.
Okay. What is the likelihood LaGrange ISD will be forced to lay off teachers in order to stay within their M&O funding in 3 years because we are forced to pay something on upkeep on new buildings? Okay, sorry. What is the likelihood LaGrange ISD will be forced to lay off teachers in order to stay within their M&O funding in 3 years because we're forced to pay, pay upkeep?
Maintenance is a maintenance and operations part of the budget. And, so when you build a new facility, you're going to have to upkeep it. It has to come out of the current pot of money. So
sounded like a rhetorical question. Yeah.
It's not air conditioning.
That'll be a barn burner.
Any other questions? Okay.
I just wanna know, I went to the meeting Monday once again, and they talked about an 18+ program. So I'm confused about Leopard Academy, an 18+ program. What is that? How many students are enrolled in that? Someone told me it was just for high school dropouts, and I don't
Okay, so
know.
18 plus is a program for special education students after they reach the age of 18. We are required. to
Special
show-
education?
Yes.
Yes.
What do you mean? Learning disability?
Special education.
Just learning disabled students?
I don't have the exact definition of what defines that, I'm not in the special education department, but I can tell you that it is for students that are classified as special education, and the state requires that we educate them through the age of 21.
To the age of 21?
Yes.
So that's the 18+ program?
Correct.
And what's the Leopard Academy?
So Leopard Academy is a program designed to help students graduate with, typically LaGrange graduates at a higher number of credits than is required by the state. And so this allows students that are struggling or need to enter the workforce for a multitude of different reasons to, that have either struggled or they're helping their family, they are able to graduate through a credit.
So both those
Being a
programs are
dropout.
required by the state? Both those?
No, we
Yeah.
do that. Leopard Academy
And
is
Leopard
not. No,
Academy
it's not.
is designed to help students graduate instead of dropping out.
Okay, let's go on to another question. I believe the lady in the dark shirt has a question.
You said the facility is not air conditioned, but 60% of it, the superintendent said, was classrooms and academics. So you will not be air conditioning cosmetology, dual credit.
Classrooms will be.
So if 50,000 square feet, according to the superintendent, is that practice field, then 62 or 63,000 will be air conditioned and need to be included in the M&O fund.
Well, potentially, but some of those are already in classrooms in different areas, so they will be moved over there. It's not gonna be as big a gain as it seems.
Okay.
Whereas they move out of normal way, so that facility, they're in classrooms now.
How many square feet is
I do not know.
it? It seems really small.
All right, we have a question up here in front.
Well, in conjunction with this bond proposal, have these architects also provided the change that you can expect in M&O? Have they told you, after you do this, this is where your costs are gonna change, so you know that?
It's only been discussed in it as things transfer, an actual number, no. But we do expect it to be minimal. Again, it was in depth when we were talking about the natatorium and what the cost would be, how many full-time employees would need to be added for an additional cafeteria, what
And
that looks
nominal,
like.
what is nominal as a percentage? You can expect what, 5%, 20%, what is nominal?
Yeah, off the top of my head, I don't have a number.
Okay, do we have another question? No more questions? Chris, do you have a question? Okay, we have a question in the back.
I do have a question. We have 3 schools. We have less than 2,000 students in our 3 schools. How are you justifying $90 million for less than 2,000 students? Is that going to change?
Okay,
Well, I'm gonna make a comment. I think one thing that's not being pictured in here is the school voucher program getting ready to start. How many students is the district gonna lose to that program? What if we lose 200 students? It's gonna make a difference on the reimbursement from the state, and nobody knows. It's gonna be some, you can bet on that, but how many, we don't know.
The TIFA program had the largest single enrollment of any state with over 200,000 applicants. The new comptroller, during their conversation with the Texas Tribune, mentioned that they will have continued funding for that program into the future. And that started at $1 billion.
And there are some, school staff or teachers, or I'll just say school staff, that their kids go to Fayetteville or a different school district in the county, and they're a teacher here, or work for the school district. So why? And you gotta ask yourself, why are they doing that?
All right, another question?
Can I ask why should we, as taxpayers, invest $90 million, $70 million of which is in new facilities or a facility, a middle school, old 923 building, that can't be used right now, so we're gonna remodel it, right? So in new facilities, when our enrollment over the last 10 years is down 8%. So we're increasing our square footage, so what's the reasoning behind that?
Yeah, I mean, the enrollment comes and goes. I think historically.
But it's down 10% 8% over the last 10 years.
But that's come and gone. It's essentially flat over like 25 years. Again, I can't predict what the future is gonna be with students and how that works, but historically, the last time we reviewed all the numbers, over like the last 25 years, it's been relatively flat. There's ups and downs for sure, like you're talking about, but it hasn't been a big change in any other graduating classes over that amount of time.
I mean, like our biggest class is what, 166, I think, is what we got, and the lowest class is like 124. So, it fluctuates, so, yeah, that's a hard, that's a hard one to answer.
Okay, we have a question in the back.
I just kind of want to make a statement here. First of all, I see a lot of families in the job that I do and how they live and how those kids live, and they're paycheck to paycheck, and some of them are less than that. What I want to know is, how are these people going to stay here and go to school here and survive here when they're not going to be able to afford to live here? Do you guys, or if y'all want to answer, y'all can. If you don't, do y'all do student visits? Do y'all know the economic status of these families before y'all make these decisions? And especially when we are in debt already and we're going to tack on to that. To me, it doesn't seem like a very good business move at all. And that's why I'm voting against this, because we need to take care of what we owe, and then let's move on and we can acquire these things rather than digging the hole deeper. And I think that should have been thought of.
I think the smartest thing that the leadership of the school could do at the beginning of each school year is put the teachers on school buses. Put the teachers on school buses during in-service and drive them throughout the district, throughout the town. And your point is well taken. My theory is, if everybody's making money, everybody's happy. Well, everybody is not making money. There are there are children that are hungry. There are families that are hungry. They have to be educated. They should be educated. That is their way. That is their way out of poverty and out of hunger. And if every teacher and every administrator could drive into the neighborhoods, could see the circumstances that some of the people live in, I think you'd have a different view of how to spend this money.
Okay, we only have about 5 minutes left, so any other questions? Going once? Going twice? All right, we're done. Thank you.